It's your boy DJ Akademiks, and the NBA finally came to a decision what it would do with Donald Sterling after his racist and bigotry-filled remarks that were caught on tape by his gold-digging girlfriend. Now, Silva came out, who's the NBA commissioner, and he said that Donald Sterling will be banned from the NBA and the Clippers for life, fined $2.5 million to be donated to an African American or minority charity, and also he will be forced to sell his team. Now, after evaluating what they would do for a couple of days, they came down with probably what I think an appropriate decision on how to handle this situation. And really, after all these sanctions, you got to know when you have capped out the most you're going to get from Donald Sterling, and really just let it go or move on. Because unless you're praying for this guy to die, there's not much else you could really do to him. Now, the thing is, you always got to remember the 48 laws of power. Law 47 says, don't go past the mark you aim for. In victory, know when to stop. Of course, this is not a victory really, but of course it's a reactionary response to really address a problem that we saw existed. If for some of you guys significant financial hurt was your goal, it's not going to happen. He's a billionaire. $2.5 million is like Candy Crush money for him. Like, you're not going to affect him in that way, but Mark Cuban said one of the most profound things about this whole scenario and this whole situation on Twitter because he refused to comment on a trending topic like atmosphere created by Donald Sterling and to only show that, oh yeah, now I all of a sudden care because we have a figurehead. And he said, listen, we're ignoring other overlying issues. We're focusing on one thing, thinking if we fix this issue, we fix the broad issue. And the broad issue is racism. He said, I quote, I don't expect anyone to come out and support a racist. This should be about racism in America, not about a talking head procession. Now, what he really means is that the obsession with Donald Sterling, and of course, these facts and this audio is pretty fascinating, but a lot of people keep thinking that if we get rid of Donald Sterling, we fix the bigger problem. There's no way you're going to fix the bigger problem by getting rid of one man. Each and every time that there's these figureheads that come up. Paula Deen, Donald Sterling, and they become public enemy number one for a little while, and you realize everybody says, yeah, off with their heads, even white people, because even a closeted racist isn't going to come out and defend Donald Sterling. Now, the thing is, racism doesn't need figureheads. Racism is racism. Whether they're rich, famous, powerful faces to it, it still exists. How do we get rid of it? We don't need to pick and choose battles. We don't need to make one thing the most important thing while ignoring racism in the other sense. We got to be consistent. And that's why I've always said you always got to be consistent. If you're going to point the finger at others, you also got to be able to point it at yourselves. If you're going to call out other races for what they're doing to your race, you got to call out people within your race for what they're doing to your race. We also got to cut out saying things like, yo, well, black people can't be racist. That's clearly false and inaccurate. Another issue it brings up and touches on is an issue that most like to ignore and act like we're all perfect. Even though it makes Donald Sterling no less guilty or deserve no less punishment, is it really cool for whatever you say to your girlfriend, your chick, your bottom bitch, whatever you want to call it, in the privacy of your house, while you're ranting to get her in line? Should that be able to be taken, blown up, and really destroy your life? And on the flip side, should these people who are this powerful, who are billionaires, who are really affecting the job markets, they're affecting housing for minorities, should they be allowed to really do what they want because, oh, this was said in the privacy of their own home? Because if you really think about it, racism is such a hard thing to prove. It's really hard to prove because a lot of times if you see it, it could be disguised as other things. So when you do get some type of concrete proof that there is malicious intent, you see that someone does not have a good heart or really thinks of black people or any minorities lesser than themselves, you got to then take some type of action. But it's like a slippery slope because if you think about it, everyone wants to appreciate and root for privacy, but racism is something, as I said, you just can't prove. You could even go blind that it's even affecting you or really that someone is really racist until you hear that proof. The worst type of racist is undercover racist. People with disguised intentions and feelings that create comfort around you, and when they secretly hate you and they really don't like where you're at and they really think you deserve a lower position than them. So really from this situation, we got to really take it and we got to learn from it, and we got to really try to address the issue in a very broad sense, and not only just be convenient when we want to have an outrage. If we want to have an outrage for Donald Sterling, we need to also be very consistent with that as well. So, of course, racism is whack, but still, it's never cool to respond to racism with racism. And we know that this issue soon will die in social media trending topic. It'll float down the list. But until the next figurehead for racism and prejudice rises, we'll have another outrage. But let's have a little bit of consistency. When we see institutional racism, let's try to call it out. Let's try to get something done before it's all of a sudden too late and we're looking around like, oh my God, does this really still exist? So let's really, as I said before, I know this is a trending topic era where you only care about each and everything for 15 minutes, but we got to be a little bit more consistent. And really, this is a lesson for us all, for us to learn and really grow. So once again, it's your boy DJ Akademiks. I'm out.